Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Above the Yellow Line live stream on a Thursday night. My name's Taylor Kitchen, and I'm with Ben Branscombe, and we're talking NASCAR. I put my arm this way because that's where you are on my screen. You did go this way, but
Did the opposite.
hey, yeah, it's all right. But it's okay. But we're excited to talk to you all about all things NASCAR tonight. There's a lot to talk about after Richmond, but we're going to go beyond that too into the racing world, talking about ARCA today, sim racing, iRacing, everything in between. We have a very busy show for you all tonight for the next hour and a half. So we're glad to see you all coming in to the live. Adam, thanks for tuning in as well. But rundown of the show, of course, you all know our special guest tonight is Ryan Roulette. We'll talk to him in the next few minutes. Then we might get into the penalty discussion after that, maybe. I know it's a more lengthy discussion, so it might require more time, but we got some silly season news to talk about as well. Some released today that I don't think I expected regarding maybe a certain colleague driver and some other silly season news around that. Announcements this coming weekend at Michigan that we can expect too from Haas Factory team. And there's another team announcement on there as well on their schedule for this weekend. Of course, previewing Michigan, talking about our top 10. Dom is not able to join the show, but he has given me plenty of notes to read to you all so you can make the best decisions possible for your fantasy lineups. So I've got the stats for you all, courtesy of Dom Joseph. And then, of course, we'll preview Xfinity a little bit and even to ARCA, and we'll talk all about it. Again, full house tonight with topics. So we're not going to be short of things to talk about, Ben, which positive
it's been
for
a busy
sure.
week.
Yeah, been a very busy week. So and of course, if you have a question for Ryan, just say hashtag ask Ryan. It's easier for me to comb through in the chats, and we'll answer those at the end of our conversation. But I think it's time to bring in our guest, of course, Ryan Roulette, part-time driver of the number 12 at Fast Track Racing. He'll be competing at Michigan this weekend for the Henry Ford Health 200. It's one of my favorite tracks. I'm a little biased because I'm from Ohio and it's like pretty close, but like, it's fine. It's cool.
That's
Cool.
fair. No judgment here.
It's fair, but one of my favorite tracks, and I'm very excited to see how Ryan will do this weekend, and I'm glad that he's here to talk all about it. So let's bring him in. Let's see. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Excited to have you here. I know this is a very blanket question to really start off with, but what's been the driving force behind your racing career? What got you into this, and where did the passion come from?
Right. So my racing career started back in high school, late high school. I was not an early bloomer like my son right now. He's 7. He's already racing, right? It's a whole different era of racing. But I grew up outside of Knoxville, Iowa, in a small place called Carlisle. And if anybody knows the name Knoxville, you know exactly what speedway is there that Kyle Larson likes to frequent. So growing up there and being around the dirt track scene and sprint cars is kind of where I got my passion into it. And I started there, and it's just been continuing since then.
Talk about what made you want to transition to asphalt then.
Yeah, good question. I never in a million years would have thought I would have done that. A lot of your dirt track racers will say something very similar to this, but usually, asphalt's for getting there, dirt's for racing. And I've always thought that for the longest time. But it was a good mentor of mine, Jesse Wuji. I'm sure you've seen him around a few times. He went to Naval Academy. I went to Air Force Academy. And we connected a few years after he kind of got going. He was at Patriot Motorsports, I believe, at the time in ARCA, before he transitioned up to trucks with Rome and now off to what he's doing now. But he had talked to me about making that transition. I was doing real well on dirt and really enjoyed it overall. And he basically challenged me at one point in time. And I went and tried a late models program out in California, and the rest was history. So
I feel like there's certain advantages or maybe even disadvantages sometimes of going from like dirt to asphalt racing as opposed to somebody who's gone from like the asphalt scene that started there and they've continued that way. But what were the advantages for you, or what skills did you feel you excelled at once you got to asphalt that you picked up on because of your dirt racing background?
it's that the feel of the car. I think when you race dirt, a lot of it is by the seat of your pants. Like a sprint car, if you're not, completely sideways, you're doing it wrong, unless it's dry slick, and that's a different problem. But the dirt track racing, it really forces you to feel the track and feel what your car is doing. We talk about it in asphalt, like as the temperature changes or as the shade comes in or whatever, the track does change. But in the dirt world, it changes like a lot quicker. 10 laps, you may be on the bottom, now you're on the top. And having to figure out what the track is doing and how to keep up with it at a rapid pace, I think is what I brought over to asphalt. And that seat of the pants feel of the car's not rotating like I want it to. In my case, maybe I like it to rotate a little bit too much. Kansas this year, I don't want to talk about that, but
We won't talk about it.
yeah, we won't talk about that. But I think those things really helped when it came to getting into this car, is being able to know how I want the car to feel, and then being able to transition that over. And we're slowly figuring it out. So
Nice. So we've met several times now, and I know about your other stuff outside of racing. But for those that don't know, what is your day job? We'll call it.
yeah, that's fair. So when I'm not racing, since you did mention I am part-time, I am an active duty Air Force officer, and I'm a pilot, and I fly B-52s for my day job. Not too bad.
Not
So
too bad
then,
at
what's the
all.
coolest place you've flown to then?
Around the world. I'll leave it at that.
Fair, totally understandable.
Cool.
Don't want
I'll
to
talk
get
tracks
any
all day.
So okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, flying around the world, I mean, that's pretty cool. I think maybe a bad transition into it, but something else that's really cool is traveling to so many different tracks around the country, and that your family's gone with you to a lot of those events, and they've been super supportive, and just seeing your social media and seeing just the fun I think that you've all had together, like following this dream of yours with your family. Talk about that support and just being able to have them around you as you chase this dream of yours.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's I mean, what's the point of doing it if they're not a part of it? I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine trying to do this and having my beautiful bride be like, no, I don't like this. Like, ugh. So I'm definitely blessed in that regard. I remember when we were dating, I took her sprint car racing because that's what I was doing at the time. So I introduced her really early on, made sure it was going to work, right?
that's good.
But her very first racetrack that I took her to in NASCAR was down at Texas Motor Speedway. So she got introduced to NASCAR there. It's
Okay.
not, I wouldn't say it's definitely not the most popular track or most exciting track, which is okay. But with that being said, she fell in love with it then, and off to the races we went from there. So, and we even have a son that's well, he's all throttle, that's for sure. So,
And what is he racing right now? Like sprints, or what is he doing?
quarter midgets,
Quarter.
quarter
Okay,
midgets.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
He ran at a. I know you didn't. I think wasn't it Kansas that he ran the NASCAR youth race at? I know you didn't want to talk about
Yeah.
Kansas, obviously.
No, that was a good part of Kansas. No, he ran there NASCAR youth race. He did Vegas, Kansas. So far, we're hoping to add a couple more this year. For him, I mean, I had some adversity. He probably had more. He had a tire cut down on him. He got put in the wall, bent the front axle. But
Oh
he brought
man.
it home in second, so we'll take it. So
Man, that's a nice rebound after that.
it was, yep, yep. And Dad was sweating trying to change it all, and 5 laps on a quarter meter track goes pretty quick. So
Dude, I'm sure. I can only imagine.
yeah,
My
yeah.
gosh, is his dream to be just like you, going through the ranks, reaching ARCA, reaching higher, or what does he want to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't know yet. Like I said, he's 7. He
Yeah,
just purely enjoys the art of racing right now and being
I
out on
love
the
it.
track. We're trying him in other sports like good parents. We've tried baseball and soccer, but when it comes to racing, that's what he really enjoys right now. So we'll keep doing it until he doesn't want to, and we'll see. We will see.
Mhm.
Love it.
Speaking of racing, kind of switching back to your story and stuff like that, you've kind of had somewhat of a, I don't want to say slower growth in the series, but you've been part time most of your career, and it's been 3, 4, 5 years now almost that you've been running part time ARCA races. Talk about what it's meant to be able to have this much opportunity this year. This is the most races you've ran this year, on top of you're going to tracks for the very first time this year. Like, what is that? What does it mean to you to have those opportunities?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Our first one was Phoenix in 2021, end of the year, last race of the season. Gosh, it's hard to explain when you come from the biggest track you ran was the dirt half mile. Even on asphalt, I was running like quarter-mile tracks, and I went to Phoenix, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's an intermediate, but it's a short track." You don't really have in your mind what you're walking into, and walking through the tunnel there and seeing the track for the first time, I was like, "Oh boy, this is a little bigger than I anticipated," if you will. But it was a great experience running with that team. I learned a lot about the sport and what was going on and what I could and couldn't do real quick, especially Phoenix. It's very challenging track, technical overall. But like you said, it's been a building block. The first year we did one. The next year we did 2 or 3. The next year we did 4 or 5. Now we're doing upwards. I think we're at number 9 or 10 right now this year. So it's definitely been building. It's been slow. I've been racing a lot of other stuff because I couldn't quite fully transition to ARCA. This year is the first time that we basically fully transitioned over. So I'm not really racing anything else right now except for ARCA. Maybe some go-karts with friends if you count that.
That
But
counts. Totally.
not karting. There's definitely a difference. Not karting, is definitely go-karting. But no, it's I've been blessed to have the VFW on board. They came on with us a little bit last year, and then this year they've been on with us full time, and it's been huge for our program and being able to expand and really learn about their organization and how we can contribute back to them as well.
Yeah, talk about that, because I know every time you're at the track, it feels like you have a special crew member with you. So maybe for the fans at home, talk about like what that program is and what it means to be able to bring those special crew people out.
Yeah, so they're me, right? I'm active duty. Once I get out, I will be a part of their organization. I already am a part of the organization as an active duty member. But one of the big things that we do with them is the VFW was founded a long time ago, right? And the premise was camaraderie. How do you take a bunch of people who went and saw and did things to serve their country that people back home maybe not fully understand? And being able to bring them to the racetrack and bring that camaraderie there has been huge for what we're doing with them this season. And as you mentioned, Ben, like every race we go to, we do bring a local VFW member. Here at Michigan, we're actually bringing a state commander, which I'm really excited about. She's a rock star. Check out the article Ben wrote. He did a great piece for us. But yeah, yeah. But no, it's definitely great to have him out there, and I typically like to mess with them. I'll let them know that, hey, you're gonna come out and be on the pit crew, and they'll tell them they're gonna hop over the wall and change some tires. We got 5 lugs. You'll figure it out. And about the time they start to freak out, I let them know, hey, we're just gonna have you lower the signs so we know where to pit at. You'll be good. So we get them trained up real quick. But no, it's been great for them. It's been great for us, and we spent a lot of time visiting different posts and VFWs, and again, the camaraderie is a huge part. Fortunately, we won't have our display car here at Michigan. I guess I can announce it now. We're racing Milwaukee next week, so we're excited about that.
Nice.
Haven't even told Ben that yet. Now he knows.
New
But because of that, we don't have a display car this week. But typically, we have a display car. The only ARCA car you're seeing on display at these tracks that'll be out front with the VFW booth, and it's gone great for us in the series, and it's been helping out a lot. So.
I mean, this weekend that is very exciting, and then of course announcing you'll be racing again coming up very soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, first time at Michigan, what are you expecting? Are there some nerves coming into Michigan and knowing it's a pretty big track? Or is there things that you're excited about going into this weekend too?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's been an interesting season because majority of the tracks I go to, I couldn't even tell you where I'm supposed to park. So it's been a lot of the season has been brand new tracks to me. We hit Phoenix this year. I've seen that, and we just raced Elko, and I'd seen that before. But every other track is brand new to me. Either I've seen it on TV or I've watched it as a fan. In general, obviously, I'm studying and working with some development guys that are ahead of me to help me out with the track. But overall, it's brand new to me. I know I'm definitely excited to get back to the intermediate tracks. This is a rather large intermediate track, but the short tracks were good for us. We learned a lot. We beat up a few cars along the way, but we're excited to get back out there and basically see the speed again, which is kind of what I enjoy. So
nice. So
100%.
out of the new tracks you've been to this year, which has been a lot of them, what has been your favorite one to experience?
Yeah, most people would think I would say Daytona, but surprisingly, it was fun, absolutely. But I love Charlotte. Oh my gosh, Charlotte is just so much
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, I found that I'm going to talk about Kansas. uh, Kansas
Sorry.
is a difficult track. It's different, right? But on the scale of difficulty, it's not super high on our schedule. Charlotte and Salem are pretty high on the difficulty and the technical driving ability, especially with I'll refer to it as the character of the concrete or the asphalt around the track. Maybe a little worn in. But I enjoy those tracks. I enjoy the ones that are a little rougher, have some character, elbows up the whole time. You can't really relax. You got to be digging. And I think that's why I end up liking Charlotte a lot. Is it never let down. It was hard the entire time, and I really enjoyed that about it. And we did pretty good. I think we finished I think 17th that race, so about mid pack. So it was good. It was a good run for us.
Yeah, and you brought up Salem too. I didn't get a chance to talk to you that night, but that was a really big night for you. Your second career top 10 on platform and first in the national series. What did that mean to you?
Oh, it's huge. I believe we talked about, later on a preview for a different one that, William Sawaj, great young man. I mean, the kid's going places. But he was on the front celebrating as he should have. And about 30 feet, if you would have panned the picture to the left, about 30 degrees, you would have seen us jumping up and down for eighth place, right? So Salem was awesome. It's got so much character. Both turns are significantly different. Run in the middle of 1 and 2, and then 6-7 inches off the wall, and 3 and 4 was a blast. And there's bumps everywhere. People were throwing sparks. It was asphalt, but it sure felt like a dirt race to me. So we had a good time there.
Nice.
What has it been like racing those younger competitors like William Sawalich and even like Tony Breidinger, some of the younger drivers too in the series? What's that been like?
It's a different generation, and I think you see that in the Cup Series as well. You see some of the older hats, your Denny Hamlins, and everyone else that had a good time talking this week that you'll probably touch on later in this episode here. But it's just a different generation. It's not bad. It's just a different style that they bring in. It's a lot more aggressive, if you will. I'm really big on. I'm a Mark Martin. I'm going to race as long as I can. I'm going to take care of my stuff and get it there, right? These guys may think a little differently sometimes.
Got the Mark Martin car.
Oh, is it back there? Good.
Yeah, it's right there
Yeah.
over my shoulder.
There
So
it is.
nice.
Yeah. But that's just my style, right? If it's lap 20, is it the right time to be racing door to door and really grind it out? Or, maybe I should give a little right now and I'll get you later kind of style. Some of them may not have that, and that's okay. It's just a different way of doing it, and it works. They're very successful. So,
And I will say, I mean, the key word in that to me is patience. You have more patience, I think, at your level, and I think the young generation might not totally have that yet. It's more of a do or die mentality from lap 1. But you're playing the long game. You're being very strategic with your race, so that's good.
yeah, absolutely. And again, it's two different styles, and it works in different ways for different people.
100%.
For sure. I want to ask. So you've been around ARCA a couple years as well as I have. How do I put this in a nice way? It doesn't get a very nice rep on the internet from fans.
Right.
So I'm curious as to your pitch as to why someone watch the ARCA race tomorrow, or even the one on Sunday, or the one at Milwaukee? What's your selling pitch to have fans come out and watch you run against guys like Tanner Gray this weekend and William Swalich and so on and so forth?
Right. It's like they talk about in the series, it is 100% a developmental series. It's the only chance you're going to get to run on these types of tracks. And in some cases at Dover, we were qualifying the same as the Cup cars were, which kind of threw some people off, and we love it. But no, it is different. It is challenging. I see the negative comments that are left about it. Often there's only a handful of cars that are up front racing hard for the win, right? But I promise you, if you came out to a race, watch the front. Everybody enjoys the front, right? Swalich is a great driver. Zilich is also awesome. He's doing great this year. But I would advise people, if you come out to an ARCA race, look for about 10th to 15th this weekend. I guarantee you're going to see stuff that you wish you could see on Sunday. We will be side by side. It's going to be hard racing. And that's where a lot of the real hard-nosed racing is in our series, is kind of that mid-pack. And that's where you're going to find the most excitement out there. And any complaints you may have about the Cup Series, that whole, hey, they can't pass or they can't do this or that or the other. Well, we don't have any issue with that in our series. So.
100%. I want to get to some fan questions before we go.
Yeah.
John asks, what's a track that you want to race at in the future that you haven't gotten the opportunity to race at yet?
Yeah, I was bummed it didn't fit with my day job to miss Dover this year. I enjoyed Bristol a lot last year. Bristol was an absolute blast. And Dover, when it popped up this year, it just didn't quite line up with what I had going on with my day life. So if I can get that one next year, that would be absolutely amazing.
Dover's a track I want to go to. It's on my bucket list too. So I hope you're able to get there next year for sure.
Yeah.
Last question we got is one driver you grew up watching on TV.
All of them. No. No, if it came to what stuff did I buy, right, as a fan, whose merchandise was I buying as a kid? Rusty Wallace. I got so much of his stuff out there. I really enjoyed him and Dale Earnhardt and all those guys at that point in time battling it out. After Rusty Wallace retired from the series, I drifted toward Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin was always in the background for me.
It's a good lineup.
That's a good, very good lineup.
Hard to beat.
Yeah,
100%.
hard to beat for sure.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We wish you the best at Michigan. And of course, again, thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And it's great to see you again Ben. And if the fans haven't seen, Facebook stalk him a little bit, find his personal profile because he's got the best picture ever on there. You got to check it out.
Oh, gosh. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Yes, you're going to get a bunch of friend requests this week. I'm calling it.
Yeah, probably now.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you, man.
That was Ryan Roulette. Make sure to check out all of his stuff on social media. I have his website linked in the description below as well, so you can make sure to follow him, keep up with his story and all of his races. And I guess everyone's got to go to Ben's Facebook page now?
Apparently so. Apparently I'm that popular now and that important.
I guess.
No, but thanks, Ryan. He's such a genuinely awesome dude. I remember the first time I met him and how he's just very happy to be here and doing what he does. And that's so cool to see in a lot of ways. And he runs for Fast Track Racing, which, like you said, is not the most top funded team in ARCA at all. But like that group in general, if I could talk just for a moment, they're such a great group. They're very friendly. They'll talk to you. John, who does their PR, is a wonderful person as well.
I love John.
Presley Soar and Gavin Newton do a lot for him. Brayton runs for him when he can every now and then. Just a great group of people and a great team to be around. And he talks about that camaraderie that he has currently as an active duty person. But like that camaraderie also stems over to that track or to Fast Track and that team. So really good group. Just an awesome guy. Really enjoy talking to him.
I'm very glad Benny made the connection, and we were happy to have Ryan on the show. So
great guy,
very,
genuine,
very
fun follow.
For real, 100%. Follow him on social media, please.
If you need someone to root for on tomorrow night, and I guess at Milwaukee, I'm shocked he's not running the dirt race on Sunday for ARCA though. Dirt guy, come on, man.
But yeah, definitely watch the ARCA race tomorrow. It's fun. I will say the most fun races I think we've been able to watch have been like truck and ARCA, like especially at Charlotte. Every single year we've been able to go to Charlotte. Those have been the most fun for me, at least.
That's great.
So
it's a good track. Like you said, it's a good track.
It's a good track. We're not gonna touch on the penalty now. We're gonna do it later. But before we move on to talking with our friends from Goat Locker, I did want to bring up our point standings and the current playoff picture as it stands. And Ben, I wanted you to hear this. Adam did again.
Okay.
Again.
I forgot who won.
Yeah. So let's actually, you know what? False. Again, sorry. Setup changes. My bad.
Oh,
okay. So let's look at our point standings. So we lost a lot of ground, Ben. Yeah.
It's rigged.
So Adam was dead last up until like 4 weeks ago and stuff like that. And he's just killing it. Like, look at all those wins. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. It's rigged. I swear it's not rigged, but like,
remind me again, the green around, like the green highlights around the
So
That's
if
race
it's a-
winner as well. That's race
Yes,
winner as well.
that's
That's right.
actual race winner. So if you pick the actual race winner, you get a little green highlight around
That's
the sticker, which the stickers still say 2023, but we're going to pretend that they don't. And you can barely see it anyway. So it's
I
totally
want it to be
okay.
like 2027 and we still haven't changed it.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably going to happen. Probably going to happen that way. But yeah, that's where we stand. And then, of course, the updated points for the Cup Series drivers. And trust me, don't you worry. A little later, we're going to talk about the penalty. I want your all's opinions because we're going to have a lot of opinions and talking points. And I've been on social media all week, Ben. I'm sure you've seen
Calling
me
the
go live
show.
on TikTok. Just like, ugh,
I actually haven't. I've been off social media a lot this
really.
week. So.
Honestly,
Yeah.
good for you. It's probably better for your mental health that way because I will tell you this week, ooh, man.
Hurts the system.
But with that said, we have Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, and Chris Buescher above that cutoff line. Of course, around the cutoff line, it's very close on points. Martin Truex Jr. with an engine issue this past weekend too, which did not help him.
No, don't
So
remind me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
God has cursed me with my hubris and my work is never finished.
He will get a win before he
No, I
retires.
won't. He's not.
He will.
It's over.
Put it into the world. Put the positive energy into the world.
My
It will
buddy
happen.
Preston, who may be in chat, says he's gonna not win anything and then go out and win Talladega and get his first restrictor plate win. So
Honestly, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. I mean, I don't know if you would, but I would. I think that's fine.
I'd be okay with whatever at this point.
Honestly, though, but yeah, it's apparently a similar engine issue with Martin Truex Jr. happened earlier in the year. So
Valve springs.
yeah, so same thing happening. So at least they're pinpointing a general issue for some things. I know this was only similar to another instance, but very troubling heading into the playoffs and knowing that two of your drivers are still not locked in with a win is concerning, to say the least. So hopefully going into the final 3 races of the regular season, they'll be good to go. And also with the regular season championship, whether you care or not, we're going to talk about it anyways. Very close battle between Larson, Elliott, and Reddick, which will be, I think, fun to watch. And I hope NBC does highlight that amongst, that cutoff line battle between like Chastain and Buescher, because anyone below Chastain has to win to get into the playoffs. You can't point your way in at that point. It's impossible.
Yeah. Unless a miracle happens.
Yeah, unless a miracle happens. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah. So interesting point standings again. The drivers that are highlighted in yellow, they're seeded by their playoff points, not by like their drivers' points. So if you're like, wait, why isn't Elliott up with Larson? That's why. I just felt like it was more helpful that way, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But it's okay. But yeah, a lot of you guys are saying, MTJ will win. Just give it time. He'll win. Ben, be positive. It'll happen.
I'm positive that it won't happen.
Man, that sucks.
I mean, and it's one of those, you just have to be a realistic person with at this point. So
I know. So yeah, Daytona should be interesting is another thing too. I mean, the races we have left, Michigan this weekend. I won't say it is going to be a wild card because that typically favors our Ford drivers. Typically, there's a chance that it changes this weekend, and we'll look at the stats later.
The past 2 guys that have won Richmond have gone on to win Michigan, so
it's true. Wouldn't that be interesting if that happened?
It would be something.
It would be something. But Daytona, wild card race, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that Daytona race could look with this penalty and what that means with NASCAR drawing a line potentially or not. And then we have Darlington, which in my opinion, I am so happy that it's the race before the playoffs hit. It is a race that is hard to win. It is a grueling track. It is a veterans racetrack. So I'm excited for that to be kind of the legitimate last race before we actually hit the round of 16. And then we start off with Atlanta. So it's
chaos.
It's chaos. It's total chaos. So yeah. But Ben, I'm gonna let you go for a second. So
remember me well, people.
So we will see you. We'll see you a little bit later. We'll see you a little later. Don't you worry.
I'm going off to the metaverse. It's been real.
Yeah. Goodbye, Ben. Goodbye. Good to see you. All right. As you guys can see on my screen, Go Locker Racing. We had Go Locker Racing, Patrick and Jamie on the show earlier in January to talk about their initiatives and everything they're doing with supporting veterans and our first responders, our nation's heroes, and giving them a place to build community through iRacing. They are a 501c3 nonprofit, and they're doing outstanding work. And I'm very excited to have Patrick back on to talk about their fall season, everything they've got going on, and kind of announce the schedule that they have and talk through it and talk through their summer series as well. If you weren't able to watch the summer series, it was fantastic. And also discussing ways to get involved. It's a lot of my followers. I know a lot of you have joined Goat Locker Racing, which is fantastic. And I'm glad that you're a part of this amazing group. And let's bring in Patrick now to talk a little bit more about it. Hello.
Well, hello.
Good to see you.
Well, it's good to be seen.
Yes, of course. So crazy summer series. I want to start off with your win for the IndyCar series, Lincoln Tech IndyCar. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so during the summer series, we always try to put on something new, something different. You know, we're a stock car league. We run ARCA, you know, we run Xfinity, Next Gen trucks. And so over the summer, we put together an IndyCar series with one of our biggest sponsors, Lincoln Tech. And it was a whole lot of fun. Open wheel's a whole different animal.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you would think I would know it a little bit better living in Indianapolis, the home of open wheel. But, you know, had an absolute blast. What a fun season it was. And then, yes, in the final race at Laguna Seca, I was able to pull off a win, which was really, really awesome. And good way to cap off the season, put the Lincoln Tech 07 car in victory lane.
100%. And exciting coming up with your season in the fall. Do we want to talk about that now? Kind of get into what that looks like?
Hey, Taylor, it's your show. We'll talk about whatever you want.
Let's go for it. Let's talk about the season. A lot of exciting stuff. Some new partners coming on board, which is really neat. So let's walk through it.
Yeah, so for the first time ever, Goat Locker Racing's put it on 5 different series. So we do have a whole lot going on, but we expanded to the 5th series just to put more in, put a weekend series in for more people to be able to participate and have some fun with. And yes, we brought on some new sponsorship this year. Hidden Wit Brewery out of Virginia has come on board. They're veteran owned, and we couldn't be happier to have them on board. And they're going to be the title sponsor for Xfinity. And then you'll see the Veterans for Life Racing team actually is going to sponsor our Friday Night Truck Series. The Truck Series on Friday nights is our premier series, and can't wait to get that kicked off. And then InVets. InVets is a veteran nonprofit here in the state of Indiana. What their whole goal is to bring veterans to work and live here in Indiana. They came on for the first time over the summer as a sponsor for the ARCA series, as a matter of fact. And then they said, wow, this is really, really awesome what you guys are doing. We want to do it again in the fall. So we said, okay, let's put a truck series on Sunday as well. So now we have 5 different racing series, racing 5 days a week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We also brought on board Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Speed Shop from iRacing, and we're excited to have them as partners. They're going to take on 2 of the broadcasts, which is really exciting because they put on one heck of a show. And then they're also going to be providing the setups for the Friday Night Truck Series.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, and again, like 3 different broadcast partners. I mean, how big is that for Goat Locker Racing to be able to have your product, your organization with these different broadcasting partners?
Yeah, Taylor, I think you said it before. Has it been since January since we were on here?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I know.
A lot has happened. To say the very least, a lot has happened. And we have grown so exponentially, not only on iRacing, and we always say, I mean, we are a veteran nonprofit. As you said, we're a 501c3. iRacing is just a byproduct of what we do, and really isn't even the main thing of what we do. But our iRacing leagues have grown exponentially. Our membership has grown exponentially. I have so many sponsors that that's a bad problem to have or something. That we're plugging them in different places. We're starting new series. I mean, it is just a really exciting time here in Goat Locker Racing.
Yeah, and last time we talked, you'd mentioned like your goal this year of donating more sims to veterans, and I wanted to get an update on that. I've seen on social media you're starting to do that again, and it's all been really cool and exciting.
Yeah, so one of the coolest things that happened this year was we were awarded a pretty significant grant from the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. It was all a part of the Governor's Challenge, and what the Governor's Challenge is it is an initiative to stop and prevent veteran suicide and suicide amongst family members and friends of veterans as well. And we were awarded a grant because of the work we're doing as well. And part of that grant was to be able to provide 10 simulators to veterans, which is pretty significant.
It is.
Yeah. So the work is picked up as well. And so we have done 2 simulators already this year. And it's a full simulator for anybody that doesn't know. I mean, it is a brand new PC built by Alexander PCs. They are a veteran-owned company out of Chicago. They are awesome. They work, and my dog's hanging out in the background. That's awesome.
I love it.
Oh, well, she always hangs out when I'm up here racing, because I drink water as I'm racing, and I throw the water bottle out like I'm an actual race car driver or something. I don't know. And she loves the water bottles, so she'll sit up here while I'm sitting in my racing rig and just wait for the water bottles to come.
Yeah, she's just waiting. She also wants her time to shine. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So I got distracted by my own dog. That's awesome. And so being a part of that whole program and the governor's challenge here in the state of Indiana has really allowed us to expand a lot of different things. Like I said, we've done the 2. And again, like I was saying before, Alexander's PCs provides the PCs for us. And if anybody wants a new PC, go to Alexander PCs. You get a discount code of Goat Locker, put it in there, you get $75 off your PC. $50 of that comes back to Goat Locker Racing. They're so awesome. I can't say enough about our partners and our sponsors, but you get that. You get a wheel and pedal set. You get the cockpit with the seat. You get a monitor. You get everything that you need to go racing. We've also worked with iRacing. We're partners with iRacing as well. And so for every one of these rigs that we give away, iRacing gives them a free year subscription to their service and
Wow.
also loads their account with money so they can buy tracks and cars and everything. So really all that veteran needs is electricity. That's important.
Yes.
And an internet connection. And that's it. We provide everything else for them. And it's been awesome. The 2 young men that have got the sim rig so far, to watch them become a part of the Goat Locker Racing family and to get out on track and see the things, it's pretty awesome.
And we've talked about this before too, but giving those rigs to those 2 gentlemen and just the camaraderie this organization builds to help veterans. And let's talk a little bit more about that. And just as you guys have expanded what you've done, how that's only increased your message and your work that you guys have been doing.
Yeah, and that's one of the. I'm going to say almost everything we do is important. I'm a little biased, but it's super important. So the transition out of the military is very difficult, and it's hard to really explain. It's hard to put into words unless you've actually kind of traversed that. Especially for somebody like me. I spent 24 years in the Navy, so my whole adult life was spent doing one thing, identified as one thing. And so when you step out of the service, it's a culture shock. It's a huge culture shock, and then you got to get. This almost sounds like I'm talking about prison, but you got to get reintegrated into society. It sounds weird that I put it that way, but it started sounding like that in my head for some reason. It's not like that. But one of the things that happens during that is you kind of lose a sense of purpose and community, because you have this community in the service. You have these people that you're surrounded by. You all take care of one another. You all look out for one another. And when you step away from the service, that all kinds of goes away. And so one of the main reasons that we found Goat Locker Racing is to build a community that they feel that they belong a part of, that feels familiar to them, that they can enjoy. They can, exchange service stories, all those types of things. And the exact same thing exists within our police forces, our fire departments, and our EMS. They go through a lot of stress and everything each and every day. And a lot of times what they're doing, and if you don't understand a lot about the first responders, is they work these different shifts. They're on for 24 hours, they're off for 48. They have these wild mix of shifts. My brother's a paramedic firefighter, and so you get these really rush times and these really down times, and that's hard. That's very hard to live in that type of an environment. So we built this whole community to be supportive of one another, to make it familiar, to make it feel like home. Get in there, talk a lot of trash. Anybody is invited to come into our Discord, but I warn you, it is the furthest thing from PG rated. It is a bunch of military guys and first responders, and it gets pretty rough in there. But it's awesome for me to see it. It warms my heart because it feels like home. So that has just grown so big at this point in time, and I think that's one of the coolest things that I get to watch.
And of course, first responders, veterans are encouraged to join, but even too, if you're not a veteran or first responder, you're welcome to also join the league, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that we have a lot of family members, a lot of supporters, anybody. If you believe in what we believe in and you believe in helping out our veterans and our first responders, then please, by all means, come join us. It's awesome to see the two intertwine. It's awesome to see how many family members that have joined up and how many supporters we have. We have a wide range of people that race with us, that are a part of our community. I do get to officially say we are worldwide. We have
That's awesome.
drivers from Australia that race with us. He won the IndyCar championship. And by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
it's really expensive to send a trophy to Australia. So that kind
I
of
would
hit the
imagine.
budget a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, anybody that supports what we do, please come seek us out. Come join us.
Everyone go to goatlockerracing.org. Of course, their fall season starts on August 27th. To learn more information and get involved, go to goatlockerracing.org. And of course, we're very excited at Above the Line to support Go Locker Racing and everything you all do. So very excited about that and everything in between. But Patrick, thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone, make sure to check out Goat Locker Racing and support them in their fall series.
Thanks, Taylor. I
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
it.
Of course, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Always good to talk with Patrick and chat about Go Locker Racing again. We're very proud at Above the Line to support them, their initiatives, and hopefully you will too. By joining, if you're a part of iRacing, join the league. If not, just go to goatlockerracing.org and learn how to best support them and follow them on social media, everything in between. Of course, their website is linked in the description below on YouTube and Facebook. So make sure to find them there. And then, of course, the schedule has been up on the screen for you all to see kind of what they have going on. A lot of exciting partners, cool logos too, by the way. I'm very like excited about the logos and the designs and everything like that. So very, very cool. Make sure to check them out. Now, though, we'll get into some NASCAR news, and of course, I'm sure what a lot of you have wanted to get into the penalties, because there's a lot to talk about there. Well, Ben, hello, Ben back in. I was trying to combine words there.
I thought you were gonna leave me hanging and leave me in the waiting room for a while.
No, I got you. Yeah, we're getting into the penalty. We're going to get into this. And I actually, I love your opinion. I know we texted back and forth earlier in the chat and you had your opinion and I was like, I agree with it and it's good, but I also like, but let's go through what the penalties were following Richmond. You all know what happened on track, so I won't reiterate that. Watch the full episode of Above the Yellow Line to go through that incident together. But for right now, Austin Dillon was stripped of his playoff berth, but he keeps the win. His spotter was suspended for 3 races, and Joey Logano was fined $50,000 for a post-race incident on pit road. And that one is something you all might not have seen. Essentially, he drove the number 22 up to the pit box of Austin Dillon and spun his tires, revved his engine by family, friends, children, and NASCAR official came up to him right afterwards and was like, hey, dude, no. If you saw the in-car video, and NASCAR deemed that was a safety violation, safety risk, and fined him accordingly. And Elton Sawyer did say, part of that's on us. We need to make sure that our post-race situations are safe for everyone, and we need to be more clear about who is allowed and who is not allowed on pit road during those times. So a lot to talk about. Ben, do you want to share your opinion first about the penalty?
I want you to go first, actually.
Okay, that's totally fine.
This
I'll
is
go
your world. We're
first.
just living in it.
Okay. Oh God. All right. Stress. My thought process, and I did a whole video analysis about this, so to keep it short, I think this was the only thing NASCAR could do to send a message. This is the system that they made. This is the system that they have their drivers racing in. And when you have the win and you're in, and it becomes a free-for-all, knowing that is your golden ticket to get a playoff spot, you're going to have this type of racing. So there is a sense that NASCAR created the problem, but how do you fix it? How do you tell your drivers where the line is? You have to give a penalty that will encourage the behavior to stop. Because what's to say that a driver won't be like, all right, I got suspended for 1 race, but everyone gets a waiver when they're suspended. So I'll just come back, I'll win another race and get into the playoffs. If you don't take away the playoff berth, you're still in the playoffs. That doesn't teach a lesson because you're winning at this point in the year to try to fight for a championship. So a suspension for a race and not stripping the win doesn't teach a lesson. A monetary fine, the team owner can pay that. That's a no question. It doesn't teach a lesson at all.
Yeah.
Taking points away, it doesn't matter if you win and you're in. Even if you get stripped of your playoff berth or whatever, you still get the win and you move on to the next round. I don't even know. But the penalties that NASCAR has put in place to deter actions like this don't hold real consequences. And that's also part of NASCAR not making a foolproof system that supports respectful racing with the win and you're in playoff, etc. So part of this is on NASCAR. Part of this is on the drivers for kind of exploiting the system a little bit or playing within the system that NASCAR has created, but maybe taking it too far in NASCAR's eyes. And Elton Sawyer did say after looking at the SMT data, a line was crossed when looking at the SMT data with respect to the appeal process. So we didn't go into detail as to what they did see. And basically anything you say will be held against you in court or whatever the rights and laws are. Like he was like, I don't want to say anything that could, that RCR could use against us in an appeal process, which by the way, RCR is going to try to appeal this. But yeah, there's so many things that penalty wise NASCAR could have done that wouldn't have held a real consequence and would have continued to encourage the actions, especially coming up on Daytona. With Atlanta being the first race in the playoffs, it's dangerous. Even to Denny Hamlin, Chris Gabehart had said of all like the G-force that we had recorded during wrecks at Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin's hit into the wall was the hardest or the highest they've ever recorded. And that says something too about the dangers of just flooring it to win a race so you can try to win a championship. So, very interesting. I have more thoughts, but I've rambled too much, and I'm sure I'll bounce off of some of your talking points, Ben. But your take. What's your take?
Well, like you said, we kind of talked about it in our ATYL text chat today. And I've been fairly quiet about this just because I've wanted to think about it for a while.
I respect that.
NASCAR is Icarus. If those of you who understand Greek mythology know that story, they have flown too close to the sun and now their wings have melted. They have built their sandbox, so to speak, of this playoff format and the system of when and you're in. And Austin Dillon won, and he should be in. And I'm not condoning what Austin Dillon did. What he did was a bonehead move and not racing. It takes no talent to drive through anyone at the end of the day.
100%.
And I get why people are upset about that. And if we take aside the bias of Austin Dillon hatred away that a lot of the fan base has, or a lot of disdain that they have towards him, he still won a race.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. Like, did he, I'm going to say this and I'll be honest about it. Did he make an ass of himself? Yeah. He showed like he just won it. Like he could have won that race easily, but he just he let his emotions take control and went over his head and took out two cars. Did he also make NASCAR an ass of itself? Yeah. But again, they're the ones that kind of did this 10 plus years ago when they said, we want to make winning more important and we want to focus on entertainment as to a season-long championship or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do I still think Dillon deserves a penalty? Yes. Whether that's docking him points, an owner points, a financial fine, even stripping him, even if he wins this race, stripping him of all of his playoff points and he starts with 0 and he's 16th out of 16. I think that's fine. But he won in your rule book, he won, and that means he's in. And you said, no, we're not going to do that. And now you've opened up a Pandora's box of, if you just don't like how someone wins a race or does something, you can say you're not fighting for a championship. And I don't like that. I don't think that's fair at the end of the day. And I think this is a lose-lose for NASCAR. And if I was the almighty God of motorsports judgment, I would have said Dillon stays in and he gets no playoff points and he has $100,000 or has a $50,000 fine and is on probation for the rest of the year. But then in the offseason, I changed that rule. I don't change it.
Yeah.
I don't change rules on the fly, which is the whole thing. I have beef.
We've discussed this before too.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I don't love changing rules in the middle of the season because it messes with everything. And so
does.
now you've opened Pandora's box of we can just decide who's in the playoffs and who's not now in some ways. And I don't like that. I don't think it's fair. Again, I'm not on Austin Dillon's side. I'm not an Austin Dillon fan. I think what he did was a bonehead move and very disrespectful for the sport and the
Mhm.
reputation the sport has. But again, you built the sandbox, guys. You got to live in
Mhm.
it. No, even if there's cat poop in the corner like they do, or if there's like a dead bird in there. You built it, you live in it now. You can't do anything about it. So
Yeah. I mean, and even to you talk about if somebody has bias towards not liking Austin Dillon, those with bias towards not liking Denny or Joey too. It's a flip of the coin. I mean, I put out the example. I'm like, if he had junked Larson or Elliott, the conversation would be different within the fan
oh yeah,
community.
totally different.
So looking at it objectively based off of SMT data, driver comments, which is what I've been preaching all week. It's like, I don't care if you dislike drivers or not. That shouldn't play a factor into the opinion or the fact of what happened.
Mhm.
Now, what I will say is there's absolutely 100% intent from Austin Dillon post race admitting it that he meant
Yeah.
to move
And the spotter too. The spotter
and the spotter
audio
too.
sold
Spotter
that.
audio
And he deserves that
moving.
suspension as well.
100%, 100%. And with the one with Hamlin is a little trickier because Austin Dillon didn't just outright say, "Yeah, I meant to junk Hamlin too." So I don't know if that's playing a factor. I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The other thing I've heard too is okay, well, when Corey LaJoy wrecked Kyle Busch a few weeks ago, and the spotter was like, he got what he deserved, whatever. Why wasn't there a penalty for that? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just talk about stuff here. So
I also I agree with the Logano penalty, but I feel like that should have been a bit more severe if we're going to
I
penalize
agree.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch $75,000 or whatever. Like he should be at least $75,000. That gets into a whole thing of like, why is anyone on a hot pit road? That debate I have been a part of on more active discussions with several people, because why are people over the pit wall on a hot pit road situation? Like we can do non-live competitive pit stops and that be fine, but after the race it's just a free-for-all. And I get like crew members are tearing stuff down and all that stuff, but there's no reason his family and his kids and Johnny Morris should be over that pit wall. I get you're excited, but like that's just like I jaywalk.
Well,
I actively jaywalk all of the time. I admit to it. I don't care.
it's okay.
But I actively also like am head on a swivel paying attention to what's going on. And they probably weren't expecting Logano to come up, but you're right on the edge of the pit stall.
Right.
Like, come on. Like there's got to be some more reservedness in that. And I really hope that they change pit road etiquette post race now.
And if not change it, then enforce it. But I will say in those moments when like family, friends are on pit road, they're celebrating, they're mentally not physically in the pit box. Their mind is celebrating, they're happy, whatever. You're not paying attention.
Yeah.
I equate this to I went bowling last week. I swear this has a point. And
this is like me in therapy every week. I have a
I
story, but there's a point to it, I promise.
But like I was in this lane and there was a kid right next to me and he was like trying to figure out, okay, how do I bowl right? Like, how do I need to hook the ball to like get a strike? Like, how do I do this? And he would always, after he threw something, his mind was somewhere else. He would go into my lane, like right in front of my lane when I was bowling, and would just like hold his head and be like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to get a strike or not? Because he was excited. He was nervous. So he wasn't there.
So you just throw the ball at his head.
God, no. Jesus, Ben. But like, I mean, it's the same thing of like, you feel this overwhelming excitement and emotion and you're not paying attention to where you're at.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for family and friends, I hate to say it, but I feel like family and friends and sponsors should not be in the pit area, like during a hot track. Again, don't leave the vehicle before it's come to a full stop. Like you hear that at Disney World, Cedar Point, whatever. Like don't go over pit wall if you're not an essential crew member until all vehicles are at a stop. And that goes for media members too. There's too many times as well when the race ends, the checkered flag waves, and media members are like, we got to go and get our quote. Like,
yeah,
I don't do that because it freaks me out. I don't want to get hit. So
you wait and like, yeah, this whole.
We got that. Yeah.
And that's like I somewhat agree. A penalty was deserved at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just, oh crap, there's a shirt in my floor. That's embarrassing. It's one of those things that yes, a penalty was deserved. Was this the right one? I kind of vote no, because again, these are your rules and you made them. And again, like you've opened Pandora's box now. So you've kind of forced your hand into this offseason of reevaluating both. And I mean, I was like this even with the Larson waiver stuff of like, you've opened Pandora's box of how many waivers do you give out and how do you give them out? But also now,
Right.
do we continue on this platform of winning you're in? Because we've seen what
Get rid of it.
insane things. And also, I want to say something. First off, James, I love you. Second off, people that compare this to the Ross Chastain Hail Melon,
Thank you.
These are two totally different things.
Totally different things.
And I get that, like, people say the Hail Melon was drastic. Sure. But number one, that wasn't for a win. It was for a playoff spot, technically. It wasn't for a win. And also, he didn't junk anyone on the way to do it.
And he rode the wall to not junk anybody. And when he got to the bumper of, what was it, Brad Keselowski?
Yeah, he like let off.
He put the brakes on a little bit.
Yeah. Like,
totally different.
These are two totally different things at the end of the day. We are talking, and they're similar vein. It's like we're talking about a pear and like a plum, but like they're still different at the end of the day. So I think
it wasn't apples and oranges. It was a pear and plum.
They're not similar enough, in my opinion, as to.
That's fair. Okay, you're right. You're right.
But I don't know. I don't eat fruits and stuff. I'm healthy. But no, this is like, I just don't. This is my opinion. I need to preface with this. This is opinions are my own. This moment in the sport made NASCAR look silly, and so they reacted, and I feel like they overreacted. This is like if I was a parent and I had a kid and I said, hey, you can go get a donut from the fridge, and they ate the entire dozen donuts. And I didn't monitor the kid. I let the kid do his own thing, and he ate all the donuts. And he came back to me, and I have a box empty of donuts, and I want to be mad at him, but it's like, I didn't tell him no.
That's fair.
And the kid's got a tummy ache now. He ate all of them, but that's my fault because I didn't monitor him or, watch him. That's kind of it's not a great metaphor, but
I mean, because even to that point too, it's like if this kid is like 5 years old, they're not going to know any better. Now, if you're telling your 13-year-old teenager, like, hey, only one donut, and they eat like a dozen, and then they're in the ER or doctor because they're throwing up nonstop. Let's say it just gets to an extreme. It's like, you knew that would hurt your stomach. And let's say they're like, they have like a gluten allergy or whatever, or I don't even know. This is a bad comparison too, but there's a point where they should know better. And my opinion is RCR is going to appeal this because it's unprecedented and they have grounds to appeal it. Yeah. And within the NASCAR rulebook, Elton Sawyer said, we were thinking about stripping the win as well, but the wording in the NASCAR rulebook wouldn't let us do that. So we might make some adjustments going into 2025. And that's fair. Make the rule change there.
And that's them acknowledging this is your sandbox. Like, and you chose to acknowledge part of the sand. You chose to acknowledge the sandbox part that's still clean and like doesn't have any cat poop on it and no one's messed with. And the kid didn't pee in over on the corner. But
all right.
This corner where Johnny had his accident at second period, your camera froze for a second. This corner where Johnny had his accident in second period, and then the local cat that scrounged you that hopped the fence took a dump in. We're not going to acknowledge that part, and I don't like that.
And here's the thing too: we wouldn't be in this situation for a few reasons. One, if we didn't have that late race caution between Stenhouse and Priest. I don't even want to get into that, but like,
if you think that's on purpose, you think the earth is flat too.
No, 100%. Like, that's not on purpose. But two, if NASCAR before the season started, if they did not amend the top 30 in points rule that they had set out to avoid something like this happening, we also wouldn't be in this situation either. So it's when you try to make this more unpredictable and kooky and wild and fun and silly, like it creates a more illegitimate championship. And so, like you said, NASCAR put themselves in this box.
Yeah.
In the sandbox. You got to play in it. But at the same time, it comes to a point too where the sandbox they've built is hurting the integrity of the sport. And it's also not backhandedly, but it's also their job to uphold the integrity of the sport. So while they might hurt the integrity with their playoff system, their competitors are also hurting it as well. So it's how do you draw the line? They did, whether you agree with it or not. RCR is going to appeal it. And I think they have grounds for an appeal, but there's also parts of the rule book that's like at NASCAR's discretion. We can do this, we can do that. So, and again, they took those few days to look at the rule book to make sure what they can and can't do is understood by the sanctioning body, which is why they didn't make that decision right away. Because if they strip the win, RCR has an easy case. Hey, you can't do that according to the rule book, and it's over with. This is on a unprecedented decision.
Yeah. Ravaging Werewolf. I don't disagree with you that Dylan would have probably still done this to some
100%,
degree.
100%.
He's had a horrible season and this close to a win. I get that. I don't blame him. If I had gone that long without a win, I'd be crazy enough to do it. But the thing is
100%.
now, like, every year we see more and more extreme stuff
Yep.
to do the playoffs.
Like, what can you get away with? What can you do
Yeah,
to get yourself into a playoff?
You got Newman slamming Larson in Phoenix
God,
to make
yeah.
the Final Four. You got Chastain Hail Mailing it. You've got Kevin Harvick at Talladega killing half the field on a restart. And now you have this. And you have now put a line in the sand, so to speak. But you let it go too far.
Yeah.
You really let it go too far.
Yeah.
And then you are the only one to blame. You are the only one to blame
Yeah.
with this. It's
I
not
mean,
anyone else's fault but your own.
and in Dylan's defense, he thought what he did was perfectly okay based off of other instances that are similar that happened before. Now, instances that are similar have been maybe just one driver instead of two that you've junked, but regardless of intent, I know everyone in the comments is probably going to be like, well, I don't think Denny's was intentful. Well, that's what NASCAR has to decide. So whether it was intentful or not is how I'm going to word it.
Yeah.
You junked two guys. So I don't
agree
know.
Ravaging Werewolf also with that. Like, it is a factor into the equation that happens.
Yeah, no, it is. And I want to share John's thoughts because he's had a few in here. While I agree with the penalties NASCAR handed out, I do believe that the win and you're in part of the system is a big reason why drivers are racing like this. 100%.
Yeah.
RCR is wasting their time appealing their penalties. There's no way they win. And then here's the other thing too, that again, they have every right to appeal the penalty. It's a huge repercussion it's why Austin Dillon did what he did. It's a repercussion to their season, what they were hoping to do for their sponsors, etc. However, it's also not fair to the other competitors, one, with the move itself and the precedent it sets, it crossed the line, but two, you're not totally sure of your points situation heading into the final few races before the playoffs. And like I told you, the points around that cutoff line are very close.
Tense, yeah.
So it hurts their strategies too. So what you did doesn't just impact you and could have been harmful to your competitors, but it hurts their chance to bring in more income to their team, help support their sponsors. It's not just you and your partners. It is the entire sport that this is impacted. So if they win the appeal, let's say they somehow win the appeal, right? And we don't know this until the weekend of Darlington. That is one race these teams have to make their bed. And that's not fair. Not fair to these teams at all. It sucks. Yeah. And I thought about this today. I was going on a walk around my new little neighborhood.
To McDonald's to get your cup.
Yeah. I was the McDonald's cup. If you guys haven't seen my social media, I'm on a quest to collect these. But I was walking around today because I was trying to think of questions for the interviews today. This is how I get into the headspace. And I was like, oh my God, if they appeal this and they win, that screws these teams over heading into the final race. That is not fair.
Yeah.
So,
welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyway?
First off, love that show, but
points don't matter.
You're 100% right. So, anywho, we will leave it at that. And of course, when there's more updates with the penalty and if the appeal is won, when the appeal happens, etc., we'll let you know. I am sure that NASCAR will expedite this appeal to make sure that it happens in a good amount of time so all these teams can be prepared. But it's going to be one hell of an argument on both sides.
What if they pull a 2013 and it's like the first weekend in Atlanta and they're like, you're good to go. You're the 17th car now. And Jeff Gordon is again, really?
I see that being if NASCAR really does feel like it wasn't fair and they didn't give an adequate amount of time close to the playoffs, they could do that since they've done it before, which I think would be insane. And then you drop 5 drivers at the end of the first round, or that's probably how they do it.
Why not? None of this matters. We're making it up as we go, guys.
Exactly. That's why you get rid of the winner you're in. Just go back to the chase.
For all the drama.
Yeah, leave the track's ratings out because it was the highest viewed sporting event outside of the Olympics this weekend.
Also, the only thing going on was mediocre baseball teams playing as well. So,
we'll take the win. The Richmond needs the win, so we're just gonna say it, and it's gonna take the win. But
I'm not complaining. The Phillies make me hate my life sometimes, so it's all good.
It's all good. But yeah, we'll keep you updated on everything. But let's get to other announcements regarding silly season, etc. AJ Allmendinger surprised for me today, at least. I don't know, Ben, if you were surprised or not, but he's back in Cup full-time next year, going back and forth with Kaulig. This, for me, I have opinions on this move and what it means for the future of colleague and everything in between. But what were your thoughts when you heard this?
I
Actually?
was not expecting this.
No,
I
very random.
really I don't. I'm gonna say this. I don't think AJ seemed happy for a while, so I don't know why he'd go back to the Cup Series. Colleague's just been down for the past 2 years. It feels like. Sure, why not? I mean, you've got to change that program up because right now you have Daniel Hemrick, who I forget every week exists at all, not even in just the car, but in general. And then you have whoever's in the 16. Sometimes it's Derek Kraus, and I go, Derek Kraus is in this race? What?
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I don't know. You got to do something, and the only guy you've ever had be relevant besides the guy that left is this guy. So why not?
Yeah, that's the thing where I'm like, I know AJ. I mean, in the past, they are very loyal to each other. Chris Rice, AJ Allmendinger, Matt Collick. They're all like, AJ's like, whatever's best for the team, I will do. This is probably what's best for the team, considering their Cup Series year this year with Daniel Hemrick has not been good. It's not an opinion; it's objectively a fact. Look at the stats. Nothing against Daniel. It's not been his year at all. This to me, though, if they are comfortable moving AJ up to the Cup Series, one, it tells me they're not happy with their performance, but it also tells me perhaps they have bigger plans in the Xfinity Series. And my mind went straight, and I'm just theorizing here, so put on the tinfoil hats, but my mind went straight to Zane Smith. We know he's out at Spire next year. Michael McDowell is moving into his ride. We haven't heard anything about his future, but he is a Trackhouse driver. Trackhouse, Spire, and Colleague have a little alliance going on. You see the drivers kind of flip-flopping where they go sometimes, and like the one-off truck starts and everything like that. My thing is, if that seat's open and there's already good camaraderie between Colleague and Spire.
Zane, oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. I was like the word. Hello. If between those two teams, just move Zane Smith there. He jumped the Xfinity Series. He, I think, needs more time in
Watch.
Yes, Fraud Watch.
Zane Smith Fraud Watch. I haven't said in a couple weeks. We're back.
But
baby.
I think it would help him, and I honestly think he'd do really well in that seat. I really do, considering the field that I think the Xfinity Series will have next year with rumors of who might be moving up. I think he could excel. And if he moves back up to Cup Series someday as a Trackhouse development driver, I think he'd be better for it. So my hope is that's the move. I obviously don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I've heard nothing about this being a potential, but that's my hope. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dom.
Dom's here.
From Michigan.
The state he hates the most.
Yeah, man. We love that.
So Colleague's a weird space right now, and they're trying to, I don't want to use the term save that team, but like they're trying to figure something out because it's been a couple down years for them. So
yeah. So we will see. There is some news that just came out, an Adam Stern bombshell, kind of not really, about 30 minutes ago. It is RFK is tipped to land Kroger's NASCAR business for 2025. I can barely read it because I don't have my glasses on. So, but yes, it looks like RFK could be getting Kroger. Brian Priest is the.
You say Kroger's or Kroger?
Kroger.
Okay, people call them Kroger's around here.
Okay. Ohio, we just say Kroger.
Well, you have Harris Teeter now, so.
Oh, see,
do they have Kroger's in North Carolina now?
No, which
I was say it's just Harris Teeter because it's the branch off of it.
My family for Christmas got me a crap ton of Kroger gift cards because
you still use them at Harris Teeter.
I gave them all to my sister. Why did I do that?
Because you can still use your Kroger. Like I can use my Kroger number, which I'm not going to read out loud, at Harris Teeter. Like you can use it. Like I used it at Ralph's, which is the West Coast version of Kroger.
I just gave away so much money to her. Granted, she's a nurse. She needs it, but like I am so sad. I'm totally gonna have to call her when she's not on her shift later tonight. So tomorrow morning I'll be like, hey. So
patch me on that call. I want to be a part of it.
I might need to talk to her. But yeah, Kroger, potentially on the move to RFK next year. They also, Adam Stern, as part of his tweet, said Ryan Preece is the last Cup driver at fellow Ford's team, Stewart Haas Racing, still trying to secure a ride for next year. Okay, I saw that right. Cool.
Okay.
So who knows? But that's another piece of news there too. I don't think we really need to talk about that a lot, but something that was released. So I will move on. Eric Jones signed a multi-year contract extension with Legacy Motor Club, continuing in the number 43 for years to come. OHIO.
I thought you meant my phone number. I was like, I'm not going to read that out loud,
No.
man. Ryan Roulette basically gave me away on Facebook tonight, so there's that.
I know. Honestly, though,
Love you, Ryan.
that was hilarious.
Yeah, the Eric Jones stuff's cool.
Yeah.
He's been the staple for that team. Like, I saw something that was like he's one of the longest tenured drivers of the 43 since Petty retired.
Yeah.
Which kind of like broke me as a grown man because I've been a fan of that car for a very long time.
Isn't that insane?
Like, I was a fan of that car when Bobby Labonte was driving that car. So that kind of broke me in many ways. But
That's
like,
okay.
good for him. I feel like he's a staple guy to build around at the end of the day. And Southern 500 is coming up, so boy, he's gonna go out and win it. I guarantee it. You heard it here first, folks. Clip it, save it. See you, Space Cowboy. I like the Cowboy Bebop reference too.
Love
this
that.
has been a weird night. But yeah, no, like yeah, no, good for Eric Jones. Good to kind of get him pinned down for a multi-year deal. I know there's kind of some rumors about where he might go. So
yeah, I'm happy about it. I think any equipment that he's in, he elevates. He's just that type of driver. When he won, it was Darlington 2 seasons ago. I was stoked for him. I was so happy.
I
See
was
him
so
back in
happy
victory lane.
too.
I was on the same like train of like making hype edits for Eric Jones when he won, and I was like, I'm doing this. I totally did that. It's cringe, but I was that excited, you guys. It's just he's such a likable guy, good driver, elevates equipment, and for Legacy Motor Club, a team that is, I mean, politely struggling this year. It's no secret. We see it. Having somebody like Eric Jones to continue to build your program around and excel it once you have the equipment that can get him to where he needs to be is a huge deal. So major win for Legacy Motor Club. I think it's a good number to be in for Eric Jones as well with the Toyota team. You also, I mean, of course, Legacy Motor Club, Jimmy Johnson around you. Carl Edwards is also kind of a consultant with them. And you have some big names around there too. So yeah, Matt Kenseth as well. So big names. Hopefully next year it's a better year for them. But yeah, good news there. And then also Aaron Kramer, speaking of some Stewart Haas Racing, Haas Factory team rumors, I should say, he was hired as Cole Custer's crew chief for the 2025 season and Cup for Haas Factory team. He's currently the lead engineer for the number 17 for Chris Buescher at RFK. And also, we had that RFK Technical Alliance with Haas Factory team next year. So it all kind of links together. And on top of this, Haas Factory team said that they're going to announce their Xfinity Series lineup this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Get your predictions in, kids.
Get your predictions in. Apparently,
voting closes at 9 p.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah, get your predictions in. Whoever is right wins a high five. I don't know how we're gonna get the high five to you, but
we'll
like,
figure it out. We'll
first
see
of all,
you
high five.
So.
But yeah, we'll see you guys at the track at some point. But with that said, I don't know if you guys follow Cow Tracer, Door Bumper Clear, all these individuals that have the inside information. I know. There's a lot of speculation out there about who that could be. Some people are saying Haley's not in that picture. Some people are saying, some drivers that are currently at Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series might show up on this team. Like, there's a lot of speculation as to what's going to be happening with Haas Factory Team's Xfinity program. I'm curious to see who they pair together, because sometimes they'll put drivers on a team and it just does not make sense and it shows on track. So obviously, racing is an independent sport. You're racing for your crew, your number, etc. But if you have a teammate, it's good to be able to work together. So let's hope the pairing makes sense. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Okay,
for sure. Yeah, rumors of Herbst to Cup have seemed to gone quiet. Riley Herbst, last time he spoke to the media about any rumors, he said he's not anywhere close to a deal. So we could figure out this weekend if a deal was struck or if he's doing something else. And then from Dom, Yeah, we'll put this comment up there now before we
Let's
get
go to
into
Dom from the
preview.
chopper. Pop, 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 pop,
He
pop,
goes-
pop, pop. Campers are slammed here at Michigan International Speedway. Pop, 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 pop. We're still 2 days away from Cup Cars on
Wow.
track. Pop, 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 pop. And fans are in full force. I'm Dom reporting live from ATYL News. Back to you in the studio. Pop, 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 pop. That was Dom in the chopper, ladies and gentlemen.
That was a Dom Joseph impression. Rated on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know in the comments. How good was that
Dom's
impression?
gonna bully me so hard
He's
for
gonna
that one.
bully you so bad. I thought that was a good attempt. I appreciate that. 100%.
I try.
We're gonna, as soon as Dom rates the impression, I'm gonna put it on the screen. So yeah, just some news, and obviously, of course, closing out discussions of Richmond and everything like that. The Truck Series
Hey.
playoffs have been set.
Don't you forget about baseball now. We're playing a baseball game at Bristol.
Oh my god, yeah. So I made a video about it, but I don't think we talked about it on the stream. 14, that's generous.
I'm
You know
honored.
what?
I really try.
We appreciate that. Yeah, Bristol, the Reds and the Braves, playing a special game at Bristol Motor Speedway in 2025.
August 8th, 2025. Yes.
Yeah, so pretty big deal there.
It's a big deal, but it's also like
Odd.
I get geographically why they pick the teams, but like they pick two teams that, and I don't follow the Reds even though I live close by. I don't know why they picked the Reds. Like pick a team that actually has a rivalry because that would be cool. Like they did the UT.
Bingo.
They did the Tennessee Virginia Tech game, which there's kind of a geographical one there, sure, but like playing different conferences, it's just weird. But really cool experience. I'm curious how they set that up.
Yeah, I mean, marketing wise, it makes sense because you're trying to draw people in from, like you said, close proximity to bring them to the game. So it sells out as much as possible and it's a huge success. Bob Podcross reported that they're going to have to tear down part of pit wall to make things fit. And then there's a building where they put the tires together at that's going to have to be taken down for this all to work and fit.
It's just interesting to me. Like they're going to destroy stuff to put a baseball field in.
Yeah.
It's just different. And it's weird because like you have obviously they did the Real Field of Dreams game a couple years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but now you're like doing it here, and I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
different. So
It's different. It's the first Major League Baseball game in the state of Tennessee. They have
working
a
on trying to
lot
get
of
a team.
ideas. Yes, which is a
There's
big
several-
deal too.
I think Nashville's trying to push in to get a MLB team, which would be really cool.
That'd be cool.
And add to that kind of geographical rivalry, so to speak. So
Yeah.
it does sound well thought out, but it'll just be interesting. Like no one's getting any foul balls or any home runs. I highly doubt. So unless they
No.
build stands down on the grounds. So
Yeah. It'll
sorry,
be
I just wanted to talk
interesting.
about that.
No, you're good. It's a really exciting piece of news. Part of me really wants to go. If you are a season ticket holder for the Reds, the Braves, and at Bristol, you get early access to purchasing tickets in September. And then the rest of us have to wait till December to try
Go
to get our
Phillies.
tickets to that event. But yeah, it'll be.
Gotta get them in there.
It's okay. I respect that. But that's a really cool event. I'm sure there's maybe some smaller pieces of news or even larger pieces of news that we missed. I know as we go live, there are some pieces of news like the Adam Stern one I just talked about with Kroger that get announced or get speculated, whatever. So of course we'll keep you up to date on all breaking news, etc. on our social pages and of course TobyChristie.com and abovetheoline.com. But with that said, I'm about to talk a lot, so I apologize in advance if you either don't like my voice or you're like, oh man, okay. But we have to talk about stats because this is important so you understand maybe who to put in your fantasy lineup and who not to. And I will say, looking at this list ahead of time, it's one of the more promising ones that kind of reflect more current drivers like ability at Michigan. Because I know like a lot of the times we've seen like RCR on these lists and we're like, oh, I don't know. And we're like, oh, maybe avoid these drivers. All these drivers, I think are safe bets. So let's talk about that. Dom's projected top 10. Again, of course, he couldn't be here. He is working the race weekend at Michigan. So best wishes to Dom in the state that shall not be named, even though I've already named it. So apologies. But let's look at these stats, these numbers. So again, these numbers are based off of a combination of different stats and averages that Dom has put together to produce who could be our top 10 at Michigan. So we start off with Joey Logano, 3 wins here, 2013, 2016, and 2019. 5 pole awards, 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 590 laps led, 4 most laps led, and he only has 1 DNF. So overall stats look pretty good here. He is tied for the best among active drivers for wins at the track too. So for most overall ones. So Joey Logano right now topping the charts in terms of who would be the best and most consistent bet potentially at Michigan. And remember, when we think about Michigan, we think about it being Ford strong, right? So they're a good bet, but we've also seen Toyota. Speaking of which, with Denny Hamlin, kind of gave them a run for their money almost the past few years. Remember last year, Monday, when we had to run the rest of the race, Martin Truex Jr. was
I
close.
was in hospital bed.
Oh my God, what a time.
It's been a year, guys.
Jesus. Yeah, what a year. What a summer for you. God. But yeah, Truex was very close to getting the win there last year, but of course we saw Chris Buescher take it. But Denny Hamlin, speaking of the 2 drivers at the top of this list that have been in the conversation this week, Hamlin has 2 wins here, 2010, 2011. So it's been a bit since he's been in victory lane. It's been a bit since any Toyota or Chevy has been in victory lane at this track. He has 1 pole award, 12 top 5s, 6 top 10s, 263 laps led. What hurts him a lot from that top spot is 3 DNFs. Right below him, Kyle Larson, 3 wins, 2016, 2017, he got 2 wins, 2 poles, 7 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 222 laps led, and 1 DNF. And then, of course, we talk about Chris Buescher. I think when we got to Richmond, we were hoping that we would see Chris Buescher do well, considering he won the race last year and then he won Michigan as well. Unfortunately, though, with Chris Buescher, they had a tire issue on pit road at Richmond that put them back a lap, and they just struggled to really get that back and get the speed back in their number 17. So unfortunate there, considering we thought that was the chance that Buescher could have locked himself in, turned the consistency around. So the hope is that this happens this weekend at Michigan for that RFK team. Of course, the 2023 winner, 1 pole, 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 0 DNFs. So might not have a whole lot of, lap sled and things like that to back him up like the guys above him, but he has that recent win in the Gen 7 car, which is very important. So, Ben, do you have any comments?
No, I was counting the Ford versus Chevy versus Toyotas in the top 10.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
It is very interesting.
Yeah, it's even. It's pretty evenly matched. All things considered. So, yeah, Brad Keselowski, right below his teammate here, hoping he finally gets a win at his home track in Cup here. 2 poles, 8 top 5s, 6 top 10s, 273 laps led, and 1 DNF. The performance for Brad has been here this year. With that win at Darlington, and again, kind of off a little bit for the summer months, but this is a good place to pick it back up. Kyle Busch, speaking of, we talked about some RFK numbers, RCR numbers. Maybe being a little off on these charts this year. But Kyle Busch, the 2011 fall winner, 1 pole, 6 top 10s, 279 laps led, 5 DNFs though. Martin Truex Jr., of course, almost won this one last year. I'm kind of surprised he's that low, but considering he has 6,294 laps completed, so pretty veteran at this track. 322 laps led, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 11 top 5s, 4 second places. So I'm shocked he's not higher up on that list. 1 DNF, but I would consider him to be a good bet this weekend, considering engine issues are a non-issue this weekend. Right below him, Ryan Blaney, the 2021 winner at the track, 5 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 59 laps led, 1 DNF. Below him, Bubba Wallace. This is a name, funny enough, that has not been, I don't believe, on any of our top 10 lists this year. When I was looking at the car cutouts that I had graphics-wise, I didn't have Bubba Wallace, and I was kind of shocked about that. So happy to see him make the top 10 list as of right now. 1 pole award, 1 top 5, 1 top 10. 43 laps led. He almost won the race, or he did really well, at least in 2022.
2022.
He did really
tends to be back when this race felt like it was a little further up the roster in the schedule. This tended to be one of his 3 or 4 race stretch that he could put on a heater
Yeah.
and like start getting hot at the right time, and then going into Daytona could be a
Mhm.
threat to make the playoffs, or whether win or point is win. Like this is one of those tracks that like he's always kind of been like on a heater at when
Yeah.
it's the time of the season. So this doesn't surprise me in some ways.
Right, and considering he just came off a top 5 at Richmond going into Michigan, and then you got Daytona. I mean,
Yeah.
the stars align
Yeah.
perfectly for Bubba. It's just stay out of trouble, hit your marks, do what you gotta
Which he
do, no
has been.
mistake. And he has.
If you rewind the clock back to Indy before the break, like won a stage, kept it clean.
Yeah.
Like he's again, like it's like this time every year he gets on a little bit of a heater going
Mhm.
into the actual playoffs, and he starts putting it together, and it's like boom, 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 good run, good run, good run. Like he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on for sure.
100%. So, Bubba Wallace, 9th on our list. Definitely a good track coming up for him this weekend. And Chase Elliott rounding out our projected top 10, 3 top 5, 7 top 10s. Only 13 starts, but really good numbers, all things considered. There's only 13 starts that he's had, and those are his stats. 144 laps led and 1 DNF. But Chase Elliott could be a contender this weekend. I actually talked about this on another live stream, Ben, but I feel like the 9 team has been pretty quiet this year, but consistently quiet, all things considered. I don't know, what are your thoughts on the 9 team the past few weeks?
I haven't. They're getting to levels of Alex Bowman, and that I just don't acknowledge them on track anymore.
Okay.
They've kind of been. I mean, they've both had one win this year,
Right.
and I'd forgotten honestly that Elliott won Texas. Kind of been a
Fair.
forgettable year for Chase, but again, like be quiet all year and make playoffs, and then you can go out and win a title. Like
Yeah.
there's no time for him to get on a heater. Yeah, just kind of a quiet season overall. Kind of, I don't. I have to look at the stats, but I'd argue disappointing in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, the first half of the year, I mean, he's had one of the best average finishing positions of any active driver. At least that was the case a few weeks ago. And I would say it's the strategy, and whether it's a meant strategy or not, of being quiet to learn and observe. And then when the playoffs hit, go for it. I honestly think that's been kind of the strategy for all of Hendrick Motorsports now that they're all locked in. Is they're learning, they're observing, and even to Cliff Daniels before the Richmond race talking about that changed tire strategy with the option and the prime tire is we're a student of the game this weekend. We're learning. So I didn't expect any of the Hendrick Motorsports cars to win last weekend because they're learning for Bristol. If this is the case for Bristol, they're preparing.
I'll eat my crow. 1 win, 7 top 5s, 12 top 10s. Led 184 laps. He's ranked third in points right now. Average finish of average start of 11th, average finish 10.4. I'll eat my crow. Like he's had a better consistent year than Bowman, as I made that example. But I also just haven't noticed him.
He hasn't been a storyline, and that's dangerous. Like it could be bad sometimes, but it's dangerous considering you've been so good, but you come out of nowhere, and then the booth is like, "Where did Chase Elliott come from this season? He just got a win." Whatever. I'm like, he's been there. He's been there.
Yeah.
Even like when he won at
That's right.
Texas, I was like, this reminds me of like his 2020 season, and somewhat maybe I believe it was his 2022 where he got a lot of wins the start of the season. There was a lull, but the consistency was there, and then the playoffs hit, and it was like, boom, Chase Elliott's back. It feels the same, and feel like he's saving for the playoffs, John. One thing I will say is for William Byron, who is not on this list, by the way. I don't know where he ranks in the stats. I do have other notable names outside the top 10, though, that Dom had sent me to mention. But Byron tends to get to a point in the season. This wasn't totally the case last year. It was the first time this didn't happen, where when the summer hits, the 24 team disappears. And when the playoffs start, they falter early. Last year, again, the first time from when I've been watching William Byron in the 24, that did not happen. And it was refreshing. This year, that seems to be the case, and they're just not, something's wrong. And I don't know what it is, but something's not right with the team right now. So I don't know. We'll see. But other notables outside the top 10, Eric Jones.
Where's Tyler Reddick at? Sorry.
Tyler Reddick. Good question. Tyler Reddick is 19th.
Ooh.
So yeah, a little bit farther back there. Eric Jones 11th. Honestly, you can make some money if you bet on him. I mean, and again, Toyota's been decently fast at Michigan. It's a matter of can they maybe get it done? Can they win against the Fords who have won the past how many races? 10 races at Michigan or something like that? I don't even know. It's been a lot. Christopher Bell 13th, Austin Dillon 14th, in case you're curious there. Well, yeah, William Byron is on here. I totally skipped over that. William Byron is ranked 15th. 16th, Daniel Suarez. 17th, Alex Bowman. 25th, Austin Cindric. I don't know why Dom put Austin Cindric on there.
Ford, Penske.
Ford Penske, yeah. Huh. I wonder if he had there has to be another reason why, though. I'm curious. Anywho, but yeah, Cindric on that list too. Just keep an eye out for him and all that. Oh, there is one piece of news I wanted to talk about. You can read more at tobychristie.com about this, but because I visited Penske this week, I was able to chat with one of the pit crew members there that I am buddies with. He's been on the show before, Keyston. Talking about the new change to the tire. Yeah, okay. NASCAR announces that they're adding like a rear damper that includes a lift to help the cars with flat rear tires return to pit road. This is an optional change. The teams don't have to have this on the cars, but they can if they want. And there's specific measures and things like that that they have to abide by with this. So, of course, more information on that at tobychristie.com and more information
Dom
too
has
on.
explained himself.
He has explained all drivers with a race win this season. Thank you. Thank you so much. I listed outside the top 10. Thank you. I don't get why I did not see that pattern, but some things, well, because I think Eric Jones threw me off, which is why I was like, oh, but no, we're good. Thank you for the pattern note. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you want to learn more about this new thing to the Gen 7 car, tobychristie.com, and of course my social media, I explain it a little bit more. So yeah, and then of course Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar will make their first Cup start this weekend at MIS. We'll make their first Michigan International Speedway start in the Cup Series this weekend. How I should word that. So yeah, and of course Xfinity this weekend as well. So just kind of be on the lookout for the competition there. Last year's race, if I remember, was pretty exciting. I hated like all the Joe Gibbs cars seemed to take each other out like pretty early on.
Happens.
It happens. It's all right.
You get that on the big jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, but and of course the running the like a super speedway package there this weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any
also
other
tune in the ARCA race tomorrow?
Yeah.
Ryan Roulette, our guest, is in there. Frankie Muniz is back this weekend in ARCA, driving the 33 through Rayum in ARCA as well. 100 laps tomorrow. Be a nice Friday night shootout.
Yeah, make sure to watch ARCA tomorrow. Cheer on Ryan Roulette again. Of course, we appreciate him for joining the show. And his website is in the description below. So make sure to follow him, check out the website, learn more about him, etc. And then, of course, thank you to Patrick from Goat Locker Racing for joining us as well to talk about their upcoming season. Above the Yellow Line is proud to support that initiative. And if you want to get into their any of their series that they're racing, etc., go to goatlockerracing.org to learn more about them, support their causes, and also race a little bit with them. It's pretty fun. So yeah, and of course there's some of you all already, like Ben, you've raced in some of their races, right?
Yes, I've raced in like 2 or something like that one time.
Yeah. So some of y'all are getting in with their program too. So yeah, it's a good group, fun time. And of course they have more announcements. And I know there's some driver announcements in their series that they're going to put out in the next few weeks and stuff like that. So good stuff, good sponsors for them as well. So yeah, but that's been the show. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, make sure to go to tobychristie.com for all of your NASCAR news. Because Dom's on here, I have to put this on the screen. And of course, as well, abovetheline.com for all of your...
Sander.
This is a new one.
I didn't know it was going to be that loud.
Oh my God.
I'll just pretend like I'm standing.
That's okay. Then go to abovetheline.com for more about us, more about our team. And to check out your Above the Line merch, hats, stickers, everything. We want to see those at the racetrack. So make sure to check that out there as well. And then, of course, our social media handles. Find them in the description, on the website, on the screen. Everything in between to make sure you're not missing a second of the content that we put out. But yeah, this has been really fun. Again, thanks to Ryan Roulette and Goat Locker Racing, Patrick over there for hanging out with us tonight. And Ben, of course, thank you for being here and chatting some NASCAR.
Anytime, it's always a blast.
Oh, we love it. We love it. And then, of course, from Dom, Adam, and Rob, couldn't be on the show tonight, but always appreciate their work and everything they do to support ATYL and all of our efforts and wish them the best this weekend as they are all busy bees. So thank you all so much for tuning in, for watching. Again, check us out on social media and have a great and safe race weekend. Lots of good stuff happening. So